This meeting of the Board of Parks and Recreations to order. I'm Susanna Scott Barnes and Vice Chair of the Board. I'll be serving today in the absence of Chair Michelle Cummings-Steele. And unfortunately today we do not have a quorum for the meeting. Therefore, we're not able to vote on any agenda items today, but we will call a special meeting to consider the August Parks Board agenda items that will require a vote. And that meeting date and time has not been set yet, but will be properly noticed and when it has been set. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's see, Metro Council referrals. Are there any referrals from council members present? Director Odom?
No, ma'am, there are no council members here today.
Let's see, old business item 0721-11, B-cycle request rule change allowing Class 1 e-bikes limited to 15 miles an hour on greenways. Director Odom, is there an update?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just wanted to give you all an update on developments since the last park board meeting, and this item was, this request was brought to the board. As you all may recall, you deferred this to the Greenways Commission for a recommendation. Since then, we have been coordinating and are still working with the mayor's office and other stakeholders to do some exploratory work to determine the best course forward for Metro as a whole. And so I just wanted to give you that update. You don't need to vote on anything, but just did want to make you aware that this is very much in play and being discussed, and to expect something coming up soon.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's see, moving on to new business, item 08-21-04, request for approval to enter into a letter of agreement allowing the owners of parcel number 173-0000-9400 located at 5595 Pettis Road driveway access across a portion of Metro Park property, parcel 173-0000-9500 located at 5601 Pettis Road, which is part of Orchard Bend Park, as part of a public works roundabout project in the intersection of Blue Hole Road and Pettis Road. Public Works will construct the driveway and relocate a gate as part of this roadway project. We'll defer this to Acquisitions Committee. Okay, the next item is special presentation. We have the Civic Design Center here today to present findings from the Church Street Park Urban Design Forum. Do we have Mr. Gary Gaston? Thank you, Gary.
Hello. Hi. So I'm here to, if you can see this, could you put that on full screen? Would that be possible? Oh, okay, got it. So we'll focus on the middle part. Well, I know a lot of you are familiar with the Civic Design Center, so I just had included a little bit of information, but we're a nonprofit that's founded in 2000, and our mission is to advocate for civic design visions and actionable change in communities to improve quality of life for all. And we have a long history of being actively involved in partnering with Metro Parks on various different public spaces in both downtown and throughout the county across Nashville. And Church Street Park is one that we have a long history of working on. So over the summer months, we had been focused on activating, working with Metro Parks and the team that was activating the park space and the Historic Capitol Corridor Foundation. And next slide, please. Oh, I've got the clicker on. Okay. Got it. So short story is, short presentation here. We think that the pilot period, which was the 6+ weeks where we've got the chance to see the park activated on a very intensive daily basis, was a very strong success. If you've had a chance to visit it, it just looks wonderful. There's a lot of people, I think, increasingly every day who are utilizing the park. We think that that's a very good example of a public-private partnership here in Nashville. And it is truly an example of a transformed downtown jewel of a space in the middle of our city that everybody is utilizing. And through that couple months, we hosted an urban design forum on the site. Director Odom came out. Freddie O'Connell, the council member, was there. Representatives from other institutions were there to help us kick that off. And we did some surveying of users. We did a public space, public life survey, which is where we looked at the pedestrian traffic usage around the park before it opened and then after the park opened. And we also plan on continuing that and doing another one at a point later this summer. So I say with that, our recommendation is to continue to try as possible to continue this activation of the park in the coming year. And I think we're all committed to it. I know we are from the Civic Design Center. We want to continue to work with Metro Parks and other entities that are interested in keeping this space active and successful. Here's just a few images from the park during some of the daily activities. I just included this. I know we get some reports daily from the team, so it was just nice to read. And I've seen how, it started. There was a few people that are discovering the space is open. They're starting to learn about the programming that's happened, and we've seen those numbers just continue to rise. These are some photos from the kickoff event, the Urban Design Forum, some other photos throughout the last month or so. These are the locations where we performed the public space, public life survey. So what we do is we actually have some of our staff members were at each one of these locations, and we're throughout several different points during the day, we're just making notes of pedestrian usage in those locations. We also planned a trip to the downtown Commons in Clarksville. As a field trip. They have a really great story about creating a new public space there, and the way that it's managed and programmed is, I think, a really good example for us. So that was a part of, we took our staff there and had a few additional people go, and just wanted to go see what some of our neighbors were doing. And that project actually came about as a design center collaboration that we did with Clarksville, the downtown organization there. It was a student project idea, and they took that idea and turned it into a real public space. So they're extraordinarily proud of it, and it does have connections with the design center. So the next thing that we'll be doing is, this is actually a drawing I found that I did back when I started the design center, like in the mid-2000s. And there's a lot of sketches and work that's been done over the course of the history of this park, and even some of the very quick sketches we did a couple years ago. And so what our next phase is, we'd like to actually reconvene and have a community engagement that looks at if this space could continue to be evolved, what would people like to see happen there if it were to change design in the future. So this is a visioning session that'll give us more engagement with the community, so that if at a point we want to do a future design to make it even more usable and more versatile with the types of events that can happen there, this could help inform that process. And that will be occurring on August the 18th. We're planning on having an open house style urban design forum in the park if the weather is permitting. And if not, we're hopeful that we can use the library for that space. So that's in partnership with the American Society of Landscape Architects and Metro Parks and other downtown groups. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Gary. And do we know what time on that 18th? When it
Yes,
will be?
I believe it's at the end of the day. So, but let me clarify that, and I'll get the times back to you.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can help distribute that information.
Is it something that the public can come to?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Public's encouraged.
Well, I've really enjoyed getting the emails updates on what's been going on in the park, and it sounds like it's going great. So thank you for
No, it's
helping make
truly,
that happen.
it's so exciting, and just I think everybody's thrilled with the success.
I echo that, and I'm appreciating all the work and the emails that have been coming through. Director Odom?
I'll echo what you echoed and say, I just wanted to say this has been just a real joy to see this space transform. It wouldn't be possible without the donation and the generosity of the HCCF, the foundation, and Civic Design Center, and the entire community investing in this park space. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This just shows what a community effort can do for a space, and make it activated and make it open to everyone, and attract folks who either have not known about the park or would like to have been using the park and were not able to in the past. But this has just been a really a great effort, and it's a feather in the cap for Nashville, I think. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Let's see. Okay, I think we have a presentation from Tim Nate on the Wharf Park Master Plan overview.
Thank you. As you know, we've been working for some time on the Wharf Park Master Plan, and we're really just wrapping up the initial data collection and site analysis phase of the project. And the last sort of initial batch of information that we need we'll be gathering today and tomorrow at the first two public engagement meetings. And you've got a flyer with information about the event at Napier Community Center this afternoon at 4:30, and then tomorrow night at Howard School at 6 o'clock. And after those sessions, it's that point at which we can start launching into some actual generation of ideas for planning and design for the park. Nothing's really been planned at this point. We have engaged Agency Landscape and Planning out of Cambridge to lead our master planning team. And we have representatives from them here today. And we would love for you to attend those meetings tonight or tomorrow, but we're going to give you a really compressed presentation today. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Susanna Ross and Kimberly Ware with Agency.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you to the board for having us here. We're really thrilled to be in Nashville after a year of, well, you'll see, but lots of time working from afar to really try and understand this site that we're talking about today. So all good. What we're going to do today is just sort of introduce the project and the team. We'll show you a little bit about our analysis of the site. And then give you a sense, these are the set of slides that will actually show the public at Napier today and at Howard School tomorrow as a way of setting up the activities that we'll have them do in the room. So we're gonna just give you a sense of that. As Tim mentioned, we are Agency Landscape and Planning. We're based in Cambridge. Two of us here, Gina and Bree, had a flight that was delayed and is getting in sometime later today, but that's okay. We also have a great, this is a complex site, and so we have a big team, as you can see, that covers a lot of different sort of disciplines and expertise. So from marine engineering to our local landscape architects, we have Robert Waits with us here today, and Sam from HDLA, Barge Cawthon and BDY, also local, Moffitt and Nickel, with whom we work on waterfronts all over the country. And then some really great representation from McNeely Brockman with PR, and a series of other advisors because, as I said, this is a complex site and we need to pull in all of the right people at sort of just the right time in this process. At Agency Landscape and Planning, really Gina and Bree formed the firm specifically to work on spaces that we consider to be vibrant public spaces, open to all, activated, just like we heard a little bit about Church Street Park. And so we really look forward to the day when we can say that about the space we're talking about today, which, if you're not familiar, here we go. So, you've got downtown and Rolling Mill Hill. Wharf Park is sort of just at the foot of this bluff. This dash outline shows you what we're looking at the foot of the bridge. It's not a space that many people know well. There are some people living there, of course, but our goal is to introduce people to the space as it is and get them to think about what it could be moving forward. Some of the elements it has that make it really unique and really full of potential are the access to the river. It's got this remnants of the quarry that give a sort of an interesting industrial history. It's a very green site. We were there this morning, and I must say it was very different from the last time, which was during the winter. And it's incredibly green and frankly overgrown, which we'll deal with. But that makes it sort of a unique spot along the river in downtown Nashville. And of course, here we've got the railway line and this incredible bluff, which I think we're all really just inspired to think about how visually and in terms of activities we could take advantage of it. So we are in a master planning process, which is to say we'll come up with a vision for this park. And then, in the years following that, I think the possibility of actually building it and making it happen will come later. So really here we're just in a master plan. And we have a roughly 13-month process. We started back in 2020 and spent a couple of months looking at the site, went on a hold because of COVID, and here we are back in sort of summer of 2021. We've had a series of focus group discussions with lots of sort of stakeholders in the area. We did that via Zoom. We'll continue to do them here now that we're in person. And we're here with our first community workshop. As Tim mentioned, this is a really important part of the analysis that we don't have yet. We've done all the analysis we can as experts and looking at the site, but talking to the people who are going to use this space is a really critical element that we're going to get in the next couple of days. And then from there, we'll launch into a design process where we look at a series of options for the master plan, come back and present those roughly in November. Get more input from the community about what they do and don't like about the different options, and then work from there to come up with a final vision, which again, we will come back and share with Nashville, the community, in roughly March of 2022. We've shown you a little bit about where this location is. It's not a site that people know well now, but it's kind of smack in the middle of a lot of development that's happening, as you know. And so that also, the sort of context has shifted a little bit in the year that we went on pause. So we think that's really exciting, and it puts even more pressure, I think, on us to get this right, so that we can sort of make sure that we are working with what's happening on East Bank and at Fort Negley and Shelby and other existing kind of planning efforts. We have these two outreach sites that we're conducting today at Napier, tomorrow at Howard School. We felt it important to meet people in the kind of neighborhoods where we know they're going to be coming from to see the site. So we wanted to be available to different folks in different spots of the city. Our outreach in the last month or so has been consisted of neighborhood flyers, as we show here. We've appeared in newsletters, including the Greenways newsletter. We've been on social media, and again, with the help of McNeely Brockman, have been sort of pushing this out as much as we possibly can. So we're hopeful for a good turnout. And so just to give you a sense of how we looked at the site and how we're going to sort of tell the story of this site to the people, the public who don't maybe know it well, was through a series of, lenses in terms of kind of the identity of the site, which we're saying sort of, let's help people think about how they could make this their own in terms of both the park, a river, a greenway, and then make it your own is where we're asking people to help us sort of identify the potential identity for this going forward. And we've got this model here. Kim will talk a little bit about that, and a series of boards that walk through the analysis, what we learned about the site in all of our sort of year of getting ready for this great opportunity. So the open house will look something like this. We'll have a welcome table with a series of introductory boards that talk about the project, the team, the timeline. We'll give them this quick presentation that we're giving to you all, and then we'll ask people to make their way through these stations where, again, we're looking at sort of make it your own, sort of the identity of the park, the history, the river, the park, the greenway. We can talk a little bit. At each of those stations, we're going to have a series of activities, stickers, asking folks to tell us the kind of activities they can picture doing in this space. And then lastly, we have this great model here, and we, again, will sort of get people to understand where this space is, some of the advantages and sort of challenges it has in terms of topography and access, and then get them to really start to think about their dreams and hopes for this park, as well as maybe concerns. So when we say make it your own, again, we're talking about the history, the identity, physical attributes of this site. And so we'll have a board that takes people through the history of a place that they probably don't know, a history that's really come about almost in every case based on that bluff and the river access and the sort of topography of the site and that unique location. So from the time that it was settled by indigenous folks to when it was sort of around at the city founding, the waterworks, the railroad, the highway, a place of transition now. This is, all of these things contribute to the identity and the history of this site. And so we recognize that and want to sort of get people thinking about looking forward, what can they imagine to make this a new spot for the people of Nashville. We will show them a little bit about what we learned about the river itself. Obviously, one of the biggest players on the site is this river. And we know it does flood. We're not going into this with any illusions that doesn't happen. And I think agency has worked on flood-prone sites all over the country, and we know that you can do design, you can make things happen in a way that they're resilient, that they can be cleaned up after a flood, and done safely. So we're going to talk through in our boards with the public what kind of flooding happens on the site, the sort of industrial history of what's happened there, the context in which it sits, both in terms of the water systems and the adjacent commercial uses and recreational uses. We will talk a little bit about ideas for this as a park in terms of kind of the character, but also the need of neighborhoods locally and the kind of amenities that we plan to offer. So we show here, again, how this fits nestled kind of in the midst of a number of different communities, from Napier to Rolling Mill Hill. And we'll give some ideas of what we're hearing in park programming across the country, and what have been identified as needs here in Nashville. Things from sort of infrastructure reuse, which certainly this would be an example of, group activities, events, school partnerships, lots of possibilities for how we can provide some amenities that Nashville does not currently have. Make it your greenway. We know there's a great greenway system that this park is going to be a central piece of, once we get it built. And so we have to think about how we're going to connect, how people are going to access this site. So we're giving a sense of that context here on these boards in terms of what exists in the way of transit access for the site, which is right here. As well as how we fit within this overall really impressive greenways system, and how we can sort of take where there are no green lines, but actually sort of fit it into that network and make it real and accessible for everyone. And so with that, I'll have Kim talk a little bit about the actual kind of activities that we'll ask people to do. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly. So I think Susanna did a great job of sort of going over the layout of how the rooms will look tonight and tomorrow evening. So once again, we'll start with sort of the welcome table where we have some boards set up, sort of giving people an orientation as to why we're here, where Wharf Park is, and sort of an intro to the 4 themes that Saz just discussed. And then we're sort of giving a couple different, so they're an hour and a half long, both tonight and tomorrow. So we'll probably have a presentation every 30 minutes, do it a couple of times depending on, you know, the crowd and how many people come in and out. And so then that'll be where people are sort of sitting and listening to us, but then these are more of an open house flex feel where people can walk around to the different stations and participate in the activities and give their feedback. And then lastly, the model is probably the most open-ended part of the engagement, where people can stand around and sort of put in the flags for their concerns and what they see as opportunities, and sort of get oriented to the site, like she said. So the first board will sort of be an overall summary, like what we just presented, and the second one will sort of start to give some opportunities and some precedent images from other projects across the country and in Nashville. And then lastly, the activities will sort of range from having stickers for different program elements that people see on the site, to having sort of post-its where they imagine themselves in 5 years and who they're with and sort of what memories they imagine making in the park in the future. And yeah, so then lastly, the model is probably the most open-ended part of it, just so that people can get a sense of the topography, where the bluff is, and then we have these sort of locational markers of sort of key elements around the context and on the site. And then last, we have these little flags where people write down their concerns and what they see as opportunities and sort of poke them into the model as they come up with them. So yeah, and so if you have any questions, welcome to hear them, but also you can come up and look at the model if you want to engage with it. Yeah.
It's a really beautiful presentation. Thank you so much. Do we all have questions?
So quickly, is there a city and park you all have done that's most analogous to this opportunity that we could go research ourselves as board members?
There are a number of riverfront sites that we've done that none of which is exactly like this. I mean, this is really quite unique in a number of ways, but in terms of floodable sites, Gina led the design of the Chicago Riverwalk when she was at Sasaki Associates. That's like a really urban setting, so very different in that sense, but in the sense of having amenity and access in a floodway, it's a really good example because it does flood, and we've certainly seen that. The Tom Hannafin River's Edge Park in Council Bluffs, Iowa is another good example. It's on a levee and it has spent a good amount of time underwater again, but has, you know, in each instance been designed in a way to bounce back, to do cleanup easily and in a way that, you know, things can sort of rebound. I'm trying to think, there's a number. We are doing a lot of work right now in Sarasota, Florida, which is going to be subject to flooding associated with hurricane and storm surge there. And it's under construction, so it's not something you could look at today, but you could certainly see visions of what it's going to be, as well as some components of it that have been built. I think I can come back to you with more, but those are big ones.
So last question for you guys.
Sure.
I know Nashville is going through a significant urban transformation because we didn't have residential population. We didn't have residential zoning until the mid-90s. So is that a different exercise for you all as we sort of accelerate this transformation of our downtown?
Is the design of the park different because of the transformation? Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really important for us to make clear that this is imagined as a neighborhood park, and admittedly, the neighborhoods are kind of springing up and growing fast over time, but we know that there are new ones and existing ones that have not been well served by park space. And so this is really about serving their needs. That's why it's so important for us to talk to people when we're here. This isn't about the tourists and the folks coming to kind of downtown. It's really, it's intended to be a neighborhood park. And so I think that's been sort of a given for us since we started, and we'll certainly keep our eyes on planning. We're going to be meeting with Metro Planning tomorrow, but you know, we're trying to stay abreast of all of the many things happening in Nashville so that we know if our context is changing, what that means for this park. But that's where we see our focus.
Great questions, thank you. Do you have any questions? Yeah, thanks again for the presentation. It's really got so much potential, and it'll be interesting to hear what the findings
Yeah.
of the community meetings.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask one question to Tim Nate? So
please.
Tim, with Fort Negley's master plan, with the East Bank study, what role are you and your team playing and the Parks Board in making sure we look at no redundancies, that the parks don't compete with one another, because we obviously have limited resources? How are we handling that sort of from a 30,000-foot perspective?
Yeah, that's an important question. So with regard to Fort Negley, which we're about to launch master planning on, and which is less than a mile away from Wharf Park, I think one of the first steps is to look at the two parks programmatically. And can I take this off when I'm up here? I think the first question is programmatic, what amenities or what activities are going to be programmed into each of those spaces and how they're complementary to each other. Wharf Park, I don't want to say it's a blank slate, but compared to Fort Negley, which has some really fixed components related to historic preservation, and it's really a historic landscape. They will have very different characters and very different programs. As Susanna said, we're in continued discussion with the planning department on the East Bank, and Cindy Harrison is also participating in that master planning process. To our understanding currently, that East Bank plan is not going to get into a lot of detail in regards to program for the park spaces that are going to be part of that plan. So that's where the Parks Department would step in at the conclusion of that process and start to sort of fill in the fine grain. And then there are multiple other projects that I'm sure you're aware of being on the Planning Commission that we need to coordinate with. So we have initiated all of those discussions, and a lot of them are happening concurrently. So we continue to check in with the leads on those projects to make sure that they work well together.
And while these sessions y'all are having tonight and tomorrow are really critical from the neighborhood perspective, what outreach are we making to the corporate business leaders who hopefully will direct all their employees to activate these parks? Are we getting feedback from those people on what it's going to take to recruit and retain talent in the downtown environment?
At this point in the process, we have not directly targeted them. We've had a dozen or more meetings with different stakeholder groups that have technical information that should inform the master plan. Engaging with the corporate community, I think is when we begin to develop some specific ideas or concepts for the park, that might be the best time to begin to engage with them on that. And we've talked with is Gary still here? I think we're planning also to partner with the Design Center on some future public engagement, and that may be an opportunity to tap into some of those stakeholders.
Well, Tim, I think you're positioned for your next agenda item is your capital projects update.
Okay. I'll just touch on big changes from last month. For Atafama Archaeological Park, we got one construction bid on it, and it is very, very high. So we've been in the process of working with procurement and that bidder to try to identify a phase one project that is within budget and that also conforms to the requirements of the $500,000 LPRF grant that we received, and it is to be determined whether we're going to succeed in doing that. But that's the process we're in the middle of right now. At Elmington Park, the tennis court refurb project is underway, so they've done the initial demolition work there and should wrap up this fall. At Fort Negley, we're kicking off that project within the next couple of weeks. So we'll have more information on you about timeline and milestones on that soon. At Hadley Park, the pavilion project is underway, and we got a cool mock-up to show you. So this pavilion is going to have kind of a butterfly roof, so the ceilings or the soffits of the pavilion will be visible from 28th Avenue and public streets, and it's going to have a pattern on the ceiling that's inspired by African textiles. So it's going to look really cool. And I always love stuff like this to get excited about. At Ravenwood Park, the contractor has mobilized. Right now, they're surveying to put in erosion control, and then they'll start pushing dirt. And you know where we're at with Wharf Park. So those are the big changes from last month. Thank you.
Questions for Tim? Thanks, Tim. Okay, next is the upcoming special activities and events from Jackie Jones.
I'm going to take my mask off and hope I don't have lipstick all over my face. But at any rate, we have a lot of events scheduled for the month of August, and you have them there in your packets. We have several night out against crimes scheduled in parks throughout our city. We have them at East Park, Old Hickory, and Richland Park. We have several back-to-school bashes that are scheduled at Watkins Park, East Park, Hadley Park. We've also got Jazz on the Cumberland, which is scheduled for August 15th at Cumberland Park. We have one full moon picking party at Percy Warner Park on the 21st, and a picking party at Cornelia Ford Airport on the 28th. And our final event for, not necessarily for the month of August, but for September, we're looking at Musicians Corner. We're having the September Showdown series from 5 to 9 p.m. on the front lawn of Centennial Park. So that will be in September, though.
Any questions for Jackie? I don't remember the events going into 3 pages before we know we're back. Thanks, Jackie. Let's see, the report from the director, Director Odom.
Thank you, ma'am. I removed my mask as well. Hope I don't have lipstick on my face. We continue to be busy here in the park system. As you all sit here in your masks, it seems like we are rolling backward. I hope not, but in light of the CDC's revised guidance issued last week, Metro government now strongly encourages all Metro employees to wear a mask in all public indoor spaces, including Metro departments and office buildings, regardless of COVID vaccination status, when social distancing is not possible. They also strongly encourage masking when physically interacting with the public or coworkers, during in-person interactions between staff, and also in department meetings that cannot be held virtually. So we are strongly encouraging mask or face covering wear for now. We have, you all probably know, we have continued to give attention to Brookmead Park. There was a community meeting last week that some of our staff attended to hear concerns of the community. I think it was hosted by Councilmember Hauser. And we are still very concerned with the challenges that exist at that park, and also handling the situation with compassion and in a humane manner. So we continue to coordinate and follow the lead of the mayor's office and the social services homelessness impact division, along with coordination with the Metro Police, to determine the best course forward for Metro and try to, resolve and mitigate the challenges there. Metro Makes a Difference campaign is our annual campaign with United Way. It kicks off next month. Steve Martini, who is the director of the Department of Emergency Communications, and I are the co-chairs this year. Yay. Jim Hester, in coordination with Metro Legal, our own Macy Amos, is working to complete the application to the state for the Hadley renaming request. And Legal, Macy, continues to work on the application for the removal of the request to remove the Confederate private monument from Centennial Park. And the goal is to have the application submitted for the October-November meeting of the State Historical Commission. The park system remains busy. People are out and about. We are kind of bobbing and weaving as this COVID pandemic continues to rear its ugly head. So we will keep you up to date on any staffing adjustments or anything that we have to put in place. And I wanted to ask a question of you all. You mentioned it last month, Terry, about honoring Stan Fossick. When is he going to come? And so, as I mentioned, I'd had a conversation with him a couple of months ago. He is enjoying his retirement and enjoying his lack of obligations for his civic duties. But I was thinking of reaching out to him and having him on the September agenda, to September Parks Board meeting, to invite him to come so we can honor him. I think it's, going a bit long. Yeah. And I want to make sure that we honor him appropriately for his lengthy service to not only the Parks Board, but to the city. So I will reach out to him, and we'll have that on the Parks Board agenda for next month. That concludes my report. Does anybody have any questions?
No
Thank you.
questions. Are there any announcements or requests for future agenda items?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'll accept a motion to adjourn the meeting. So moved. All right. Ooh, that was loud.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.